You've mentioned that insight for women is extremely rare. Yes. What percentage of women would you estimate have insight? That's a hard call. Would you say most relationships fail because women lack insight? Yes, I do. Because insight. Okay, let me back up just a little bit. When I talk about like what is value added for a woman, like when people say, "Well, what's a high value woman, Rolo?" I'm going to point to the hottest piece of ass that I can find. Right? I mean, what big tits, nice ass, perfect, thigh gap. I'm going to point to that first, obviously, because guys are going to look for, fertility, youth, beauty, sexual availability. So let's just get those out of the way. And then we can get into other things, icing on the cake, right? And I think that if you are looking or you're vetting, I hate that word, you're vetting for a girlfriend, I'm not going to say wife, you're vetting for a long-term relationship, I think insight is the number one thing men ought to be looking for in women, meaning that they are not just, for women to have like true insight, like real genuine insight, it means they have to in some way get over themselves. They have to get past that innate solipsism. And I've done full videos about women's solipsism. I've done all kinds of essays on solipsism, on the solipsism of women, and people like really want to call me to the carpet for that because they want to say, well, where's the evidence? Where's the research on that? You're not going to find research on female solipsism because solipsism as a term is really a philosophical term, but it can also be a technical term, meaning that the only thing that women think about is themselves. Not that that's a bad thing. That is a feature, not a bug of female nature. They have to be that way because they have to be concerned with their own survival. They are the incubators of the next generation, and they have to be solipsistic enough so that the world kind of turns around them because they're interested, like almost like to the point of OCD about their own interests, about their own survival, they are the vulnerable sex, and so therefore looking for long-term security and security for their children. That is what I mean when I talk about solipsism in the sort of red pillion terminology. So am I talking about the philosophical concept? No, I'm talking about like the psychological concept. And for a woman to have true insight, to have some sort of like, to question her own motives or have a question about why she did what she did. Maybe I should apologize. Maybe I should think differently about this. Maybe I should reconsider, have those kinds of things. It requires a woman to sort of like push past that innate solipsism. And that's why it is so very rare in women, because it's something that I think I'm sure there's probably a genetic component to it as well. Like an intellect, like an IQ component to it. But it's also, what was your upbringing like? Were you, how did you have brothers and sisters? That might be something that contributes to it. And I think that a lot of people mistake female solipsism for narcissism, and which is an easy thing to do today, because when you see women on the women on the street talking about their body counts, Mac Murphy, looking dead at you. We'll come back to that because I kind of want to get into the body count thing a little bit today, because that was one of the key features, the key topics for 2023. But pushing past that, getting past the innate solipsism, and because you're going to women in general are not going to be able to have sort of a true insight until they can sort of like I hate to say be busted down a notch, because I don't even like that, but it's learning humility, I guess. And a lot of women don't really learn humility until it's too late. Until they're in the early 30s, maybe mid 30s range. And that's when they start thinking differently. And that's when it's like, oh, I better get right with God. I better do things the right way. I need to shape up. I need to do something. I've got a kid. Now I got to find I need a man with benefits. And that's when insight comes in. I hate to say that, like for most women, it is like something that they're sort of through trauma and crisis that they have to come to. I think I also mentioned that most women are not, they don't think in terms of grand strategy. And that's also another rare gift, is for women who can see sort of the forest for the trees and say, okay, I'm 23 now. Where do I want to be when I'm 33? Rather than living in the moment and having everything be about, the most immediate stimuli that's sort of coming to them. And, they're at the top of their game right then. Or you're just or you're just looking at the on the street interviews of women and their body counts. They're very forthcoming. about that stuff. If you go and ask them casually on the street, I mean, they know that they're being observed. That one girl actually says, here's all the dudes I'm banging, right? She's literally keeping a tally of all the guys and all the names, right? Why? I don't know. It's kind of interesting to me. Like if a gamma male guy keeps an Excel spreadsheet of like all the reasons why his wife or his girlfriend or whatever, all the reasons why he gets rejected or he gets turned down for sex because his wife has got a headache or whatever the fuck it is, right? That guy's a creep. But the woman who keeps like this big, tally, this list of names of the guys that she's fucked, that's like empowering. Girl, you go. But if a guy did that, that's like almost, I would say that's sexual harassment. So interesting. You want to talk about double standards? I'll talk about double standards. That's a double standard right there. There are more. I will die on this hill. There are more double standards for men than there are for women. Hit me up about that sometime.